All right, hello, and welcome to our last Central Ohio .NET Developer Group of the year. It's kind of crazy that we're at the end of October already, but yeah, here we are. So we have Sam Basu in from, are you Philadelphia? Erie, okay.
The mistake on the lake.
The mistake on the lake, yeah, okay, all right. Sam is in from Erie, and I'm very fond of Sam. Not only did you do a great job last week for us at Momentum down in Cincinnati, but he's been a friend of mine back since Windows Phone was a thing. So very happy to have him here. And he's going to be talking about Uno platform and some of the really cool stuff that they've been innovating with really for a few years now, but they've been kicking it up into a pretty high gear this year in particular. So it's really exciting stuff to see and play around with. So looking forward to that. Also on the mobile and cross-platform device thing. So please device responsibly if you are connected to our Wi-Fi. You probably aren't because Central, but don't distract your neighbors either. The best way of following us is on Meetup, where we are going to be posting all of our events. We are the fourth Thursday of every month, January to October. So this is our last meeting of the year. Thank you, Central. You've been an awesome host for us. We really appreciate you. But January will be kicking things back up again. We find that November, December doesn't really work with the things that happen late in those months. So this works fine for everybody. Oh yes, and there we go, nice animations that I forgot to remove. So your organizers are the three of us, Alan, myself, and Sam here. So if you'd like to help us, come chat with us, because obviously we need a lot of help, but that's okay. And if you want to speak, we have a lot of openings for next year. We're still scheduling stuff for next year. I think we have maybe one tentative, but we'll still need 9 more, even if we get that yet. So looking forward to that. We are on YouTube. Hi YouTube. We're streaming there right now, and you'll be able to take a look at Sam's presentation online there to refer to it later on as you're hacking with Uno. And hopefully you might be looking at this, months or years down the road and referring to Sam's good stuff here. But as of earlier today, we had 348.7 or more subscribers. I might have subscribed with a second account to put us to 349, but that's okay. Don't tell anyone. We are on Twitter. We don't post to Twitter, but we are on Twitter. We are also on LinkedIn. We post maybe a little more to LinkedIn, but still not a lot. If you find things that are interesting to .NET developers, you have job opportunities, you're interested in something, post it to LinkedIn. That group is kind of for everybody to share stuff. We don't do a whole lot of that. We don't think of it a lot, but if that would be something that would be helpful for you all, have at it. It's there for you. Discord, newer idea, newer group for us there. But you can scan this QR code or use the short link, and that is a persistent invite that will get you into our Discord group. Matt DeGoy over there has been sharing some really helpful stuff. I've learned some things just from the stuff he's shared. There's some stuff I'm going to be covering here today that I put more details in that as well. So you can check that out if you are interested. Oh, did I put a momentum code on there?
Momentum session attendance form.
Ah, I fixed the first QR code, but not the second one. Yeah, this is, yeah. So I would recommend you use that short link, because that's going to be the right short link there. But if you want to, fill out the attendance form, I won't look at it, because I've already used that. So, speaking of which, Sam, I need to talk to you about your session attendance, but because it was awesome. All right, so sponsors, thank you again to Central for the pizza, for the hospitality, your beautiful space. It's awesome. We really appreciate being here. .NET Foundation is something that folks don't think about a whole lot, but it's kind of a governing body of all this .NET goodness out there in the open source world. and they pay our meetup dues, which is really cool. They're having elections right now, so if you haven't voted, you've probably been getting 18 different reminder emails about that, but go vote. And there's some friends of ours who are running for that right now as well. So that's very cool. We have JetBrains as a sponsor. They are a raffle sponsor. We haven't had a whole lot of traction from people interested in that. If you are interested in getting a JetBrains license, talk to me, because I probably have a bunch of them laying around right now. And if we don't continue to see that, we'll probably stop just advertising that with their model changes and the like. We also are honored to have a giveaway this month from Uno. So I think Sam's going to talk a little bit more about that at the end of his presentation there. But that's very exciting stuff, and their free stuff is awesome. Their paid stuff is a little better, and it's some really cool stuff in there. So I'm really excited about that. Who here is currently hiring? Okay, Matt DeGoy, you're at Central. What are you all looking for?
Yeah, so just looking at our jobs board right now, we have listings for software engineering intern, as well as a machine learning engineer and senior and tech lead software engineer.
Okay. So Central Insurance looking for interns, machine learning engineers, and then what was the last?
Senior and tech lead software engineer.
So senior tech lead software engineers. Very cool. Alan, improving?
Oh, I mean, we're always hiring, obviously. So .NET stuff, but actually I heard we have some Java stuff. So if you like working in Java, come and chat with me, and I'll get you relayed over to our recruiters.
Awesome. I believe Leading Edge just posted a job post either yesterday or today. We are looking for .NET and Azure AI. So if you like those things, A, we probably are going to get along, but B, come talk to me, and we'll talk to you, talk about more about what we're looking for there and where we're looking to place you there. Anyone else raise their hand for who's hiring? Cool. I thought I got them all. I just want to make sure. So every fall we get new features in .NET and C#. I wrote up a nice article that I linked to in our Discord, not the Momentum forum, sorry, that kind of highlights some of my key takeaways, but you all are too busy to read. So let's just talk about a couple of the key ones. Sam is going to be really delving deep into Uno, which is almost like a big part of .NET 10 in a certain way. The first thing you get with C# 14 is you get the new field keyword. So this is dealing with like the automatically generated properties that we have in .NET. You can now, instead of referring to something by its variable, by having a private variable, you can now just say field, and that's like one less line of code you have to write, which is very cool. So I like that. I don't think that you're going to use that a ton, but it's a nice little concise bit we have. Microsoft is also retooling extension methods, so you can still write extension methods the same way you were before with like the this keyword and static and all that, but you can also now write your classes as static and then say extension and then like the type that you're working off of, give it kind of like a variable name, and then your method doesn't take that in as a parameter, and you can kind of work with that there. It's a little blurry on the screen here in this room, but I think that this is a more intuitive way of explaining it to new developers. But that's not why they are inventing this. They're inventing this to actually support extension members. So now you can also define a property that's basically an extension property on something, and you can write your own stuff with there. So that's kind of cool. So not everything has to be a method, and gives you a little bit more flexibility to extend existing APIs, which is cool. Minimal APIs. Anybody here use minimal APIs in fun or paid stuff? Okay, got a hand. They were really good, but they lacked in certain areas, and they're getting a little bit more mature. So now you have a little bit more validation support for the standard stuff you have validation for in ASP.NET with controllers and the like. You also have more integration with OpenAPI 3.2, I believe it is. So you have a lot more documentation support to build professional APIs that other things can understand, which is really cool. A lot of swarm of little things around this, but I think it makes minimal APIs a little bit more viable there. Entity Framework Core 10 has some new stuff as well. So they have some stuff that's going to warn you if you're doing something that will be allowed for SQL injection. It's got support for like vector types, so you can do your embedding searches a little bit more easily with EF. It has better support for JSON types as well, and a couple other performance-related things around ins and the like. around Azure SQL and other database types. So some very cool stuff there. I do have that linked in our Discord if you want to check that out. Last thing is related to the thing I mentioned from Matt earlier, which is the change to how the standard term support releases are supported with Microsoft. Previously, they were 18 months. Now they're 24 months. What this means is that you never are going to have this case where you're like, hey, I'm starting a new project. Do I use the current STS or the current LTS version? Well, if you use the STS, it's going to go obsolete before the LTS does. Now they kind of go obsolete at the same time, and so it doesn't give you a penalty on using the latest and greatest .NET version in those off years when you have a STS version that's newer than the LTS version. So it doesn't really affect us this year, but it affects us a lot next year, and I like this a lot. So I believe that's all I have. I'm going to turn things over to my friend Sam to wow us with Uno. Just while he's getting set up, show of hands, anybody work with Uno yet? Okay. What do you think? Like it? Dislike it? I mean, you're here, so yeah.
I have to be here.
All right. Here you go, my friend.
All right. But we asked who is hiring, but did I miss it, or did we not ask who is looking?
Well, if you are looking, talk to the people who are hiring.
I know we normally ask.
Yeah. And I believe I have stopped, or you've stopped me. And you should be good to share when you are.
Okay. You see me on the USB or the
HDMI?
HDMI.
We got you.
Okay. Let's maximize things. All right. We have half the screen, so if anybody needs me to zoom in, please, speak out. How's everyone doing? Good. Am I allowed to do a dance here or not go outside this box?
You're all right.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for coming out. The first thing you need to know about me is I'm an old man. I have been doing this for quite some time. For those of you who are seeing me for the first time, I used to live in Columbus. Like I've known Matt and Carrie for like 20 years now. We go back to like Windows Phone and Silverlight. We need lots of hugs these days. But no, it's all good. It's the evolution of the frameworks and the tools that we use. I have since it's actually also been like 10 years that I've moved out of Columbus. Like this whole area used to be nothing when we used to be here. So it's so nice to see all this development. We are over in Pennsylvania. Wife is a college professor. I work from home, so I got no excuse. But I love coming down here whenever they invite me back to civilization, like Cincinnati and Columbus. I love to come down here. Okay, all right, so smallish room. So let's do maybe a raise of hands here. Most of you do .NET around the house? Yep, okay. How many of you do desktop with .NET? Some? Okay, all right. Anybody do mobile with .NET? Okay, all right. JavaScript in the house. Anyone building SPA apps? Modern web apps? Okay, so it's a mixed bag. The good news is like everything is very easy to mix and match these days. So it's a good thing for developers to have choice until we have too much choice and then we are crippled and second guessing ourselves. All right, so how long do we go here, Matt? Like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock?
Until you're done.
We have had pizza, so we can. Okay, I'll try to keep it to an hour.
Sam's doing a workshop later, but.
It's a small group, so please, raise any questions, concerns, anything you might have. I'll try to answer. If not, I'll try to point you to people who know more. A little bit of, history about me talking about Uno platform, because again, I have done, like I'm obviously biased. Like I work for these guys now, but it didn't used to be this way. I have tried a lot of different things. I have done React Native, I've done Electron, I've done a lot of Xamarin, a lot of Maui. So I've seen everything else around, and there is no love lost. I mean, you pick the right stack for the type of apps you're building. I have known these guys for a very long time, to the point where they've showed me what they have been up to. I'm like, yeah, this is really solid. So to me, this is the best way of taking .NET cross-platform. But your opinions might vary. So let's look at all the things together, and let's show you some of the things that we have been up to. So as of about a month or so back, I now work for the guys at Uno Platform. Again, I've used them for a long time, but now I'm actually helping make the products better, making developers like you successful. That's me on most of the socials online, so Twitter, Mastodon, Blue Sky, GitHub, all the places. So if you need to get hold of me, you know where to look. All right, so let's dive in. I had like 5 or 6 slides, and then I will try to show you as many things as possible. Things might crash and burn and fail. You can all laugh at me, but it's real, right? So let's just set the stage really quickly, then we'll get out of slides. Microsoft slide, .NET, I think Matt spoke about it. It's a good place to be. It's not your old school .NET anymore. Like some of us in the room, like Sam and Matt and Carrie, like we started with .NET before it was a thing, like before .NET Framework was a thing, early 2000s, like ASP, spaghetti code. Things have come a long way. That old school framework is still there and will always be there, just doesn't get the investment because it's more about security fixes. So .NET Framework is there and it will keep running. But .NET 6 and forward is the more modern .NET. That's cross-platform, it's modular, open source, no barrier to entry. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday where how things have evolved. Where if you had a Windows machine and you were doing SQL Server with .NET, like it's half a day to get set up, right? Like you need all the bits and pieces. College kids don't have so much time. They just want to get going with an editor. That's where .NET has to be more flexible. So again, .NET lets you reach just about every stack, every platform. The how and the reach kind of depends a little bit on the stack that you're using. But overall, everything that we're doing today, it's all .NET, and the tools are great. You can be on Windows. I'm on a Mac here. If I get time, I'll remote into my Windows PC, which is sitting under my desk. And also a server in a different part of the country. So it's very portable. Linux and macOS are welcome too. So great ecosystem, nothing to complain. Modern .NET is fun. .NET 10 is coming out in about 2 weeks. So every November we get a new .NET. You're not pressurized to get on it, but you see the latest and greatest. So there is a .NET Conf that's going to happen mid-November, live streamed over 3 days. So check that out for all the things .NET has to offer. So where does Uno Platform come in? So this is us trying to build on top of .NET with the expertise that we have. So this is what's free and always will be, and open source. So the core foundational of everything that we do, it's always free, it's always open source. In here are a couple of things to note. This is taking .NET, and there are multiple ways in which you can build your .NET apps. The UI stack in particular, you have some choices. You can do straight up XAML. Again, for those of you who come from Windows Phone, Silverlight, WinUI backgrounds, that's our bread and butter. But if it gets a little verbose, if you don't want to write it, you don't have to. There are tools that do it for you. You can do all up C#. If you want to bring in some web stuff like Blazor, Angular, React, everything is welcome. Now with that UI, you can build apps that are truly cross-platform from a single shared code base, and then you get to deploy that app. And so behind that scene is a little bit of magic, right? We are building native app packages for iOS and Android. Again, we know how to do that for a long, long time. Again, multiple things are converging here. So if you come from the Mono days and Xamarin and Maui and Uno and WinUI, they're all doing similar things. We are compiling higher level things down into lower level app packages for iOS and Android. So that's pretty done. The one thing that we do miss with modern .NET is Silverlight was the last thing that went to the web with C# and XAML. It was a great dev experience, but Steve Jobs wrote that scathing letter that plugins are gone, and so died Silverlight and Flash and everything else, which probably was not a bad thing. But we still love that experience. So now we can take C# and XAML, and we can compile it down into what's called WebAssembly, which is an open standard. Thankfully, nobody owns it. So we can do pixel perfect rendering on the web as well. We can also go to Linux. So again, these are some of the things that you will not find in every stack. It's just a broad platform reach. You have some choices as to what your app looks like. If you want the native look and feel of how an iOS app looks like or an Android app looks like, you can do native UI. Or if you're building the next Facebook, good for you, then your app can look the same everywhere, right? So that's something we pull off with Skia renderers. So that gives you like the pixel perfect look and looks consistent everywhere, right? So this is all the stack, and there are lots of additional things on top of it. There are theming help, so you can start with, built-in light and dark mode support. You can get, Material, Fluent, Cupertino design systems, lots and lots of UI. Almost every type of UI you can think of is welcome. So all of the WinUI, all of the Maui UI, everything from Telerik. I used to work for Telerik for a very long time. Syncfusion, DevExpress, everything is welcome. It's just all .NET, which is nice. So lots of things to kind of build up your stack with, but this is the core foundational thing. So again, this is the dev story. You are not limited by which OS you are going to be on or which IDE that you're going to be on. This is again modern .NET, right? Some of the tooling, fancy sugary stuff is a little bit different, but from the get-go, you have a full choice of what's between Windows running Visual Studio or Mac running VS Code or Linux running VS Code. Rider, JetBrains Rider is great. So use the right tools that fit you. It's very easy to get set up. I'll talk about some of the tooling that helps you get going. And then once you start building your app, the dev cycle, the dev loop, we think about that a lot. How do you manage state? How do you manage UI between your IDE and something that's running, which I'll show you. This is something called hot design, which I'll spend a little bit of time showing, because this is a little bit missing in some of the other stacks. If you come from some of the WPF or WinForms days, we always had a visual designer where we could drag and drop and we could see our apps, at least in design time. Xamarin never had that, and Maui never has that. So it's a nice thing to have. Again, you're not compelled to use it, but once you start using it, it's hard to not have it. So I'll talk about hot reload as well. Hot reload from the .NET world, it's a marketing problem. I think instead of calling it hot reload, had they called it lukewarm reload, like your expectations will be a little lower, and you'll just expect it to not work at times. But so there are some things where it falls off the edge. So we have tried making it better a little bit. Rendering, I've talked about unified rendering with Skia or native. So again, the full dev cycle is what we try to think about entirely. Lots of love here from the community, NuGet packages, GitHub stars and followers. Discord, we are big into Discord, so we are always trying to listen. So lots of success stories. Now this is what Matt was referring to, where we are building up on top of it, right? So we have the open source stack, and in fact, let me actually go back out here since .NET is coming out. I think I had it open. So this is our blog. Coming with .NET 10, we are actually helping maintain parts of .NET. So if you do Maui, absolutely go for it. So Microsoft has had a big pivot. Just like any other tech, it's all AI, a lot of it, right? So investments in core .NET are a little hard to find, these days. So they are expecting the ecosystem to step up, and we're just like, yeah, we have all the expertise. So we actually help maintain .NET for iOS and .NET for Android, some of the Skia renderers, some of the WASM that Maui uses. So all of that is stuff that Syncfusion helps maintain. We help maintain. So it's all one big happy family. But on top of that family, we are building up some tooling that's going to get you that ultimate productivity that you're looking for. Again, choice of IDE doesn't matter, choice of OS doesn't matter. So three things we'll talk about. One is hot design and hot reload. They kind of go together. It just gives you a nice iterative way of building up your app. If you don't have a designer, that's great. You can still do pixel perfect things, and you can do things runtime. If you do have a designer, how often do they make nice things and then it falls apart because we have to build the UI by hand. So we have some Figma plugins that can bring over some of your designs nicely. We'll spend a little bit of time actually showing you this, so I'm not going to spend time on the slide, but this is a nice way of actually giving your design surface while your app is running. So it doesn't mean a different fake data altogether. It's your app is literally the one that is transforming into a design surface. We spend a lot of energy into this, trying to make this nice for developers. So I'll show you this in action. And AI, are you even real if you're not doing AI these days? So everything that we do, like a lot of the C# and XAML that I'll show you, it works beautifully with any AI model. Bring out the agents, they will help you write the code, so you don't have to handwrite it. And I cannot talk about it yet for another 2 weeks, but we are doing some very fancy things that you'll hear at .NET Conf around AI. Okay, that's it. Any questions, any concerns, any thoughts? Everyone still awake? Yes.
You didn't mention Apollonia too much. I know Apollonia is pretty niche, but how do you see, as differentiated versus Apollonia?
Right. Okay, so great question. So again, there are multiple ways of taking .NET cross-platform, and it comes down to a little bit of the UI stack. So if you are hardcore, so XAML is a markup language. It is XML. right, at the end of the day. So which flavor of XAML you're using, I could not care less, right? But there are folks who do care about their dialect, their own version of XAML, because there are tiny differences, like something is called a label versus a text block. At the end of the day, it doesn't make a difference, right? So if you are sold and absolutely want to do WPF XAML only, then that's what Avalonia did. And there are some differences in, you know, how far they reach, but the modern Windows stack is called WinUI, and that's the UNO way of, you know, rendering the UI. But again, at the end of the day, it's all XAML. We have, you know, we talk about this quite a bit. There are, you know, we know exactly where we differentiate from Avalonia, but I'm not going to say any of it because, you know, it's not nice to talk about competition. You look around and find what's right for you. Again, choose the right thing. Yeah. The tooling and the platform reach is always good to look at, and the support, like it's, you're not struggling in isolation. The dev experience is, you know, well thought out. Anything else? Shall we look at code? All right. Okay, so .NET 10. Has everyone read, well, you need a weekend to read this. Where is that? Yes, Stephen 2, every October or every, yeah, maybe September, he writes up a novel on the performance things that every .NET iteration has had. It's like you can see the slider. Like you need to take a few days off to read this, but if you are nerdy, go for it. This is all coming in .NET 10. At the end of the day, what benefits us is just performance. If you are maintaining apps that are on .NET Framework, we are here for hugs. Again, nothing's going away, but if you are on the more modern .NETs, if you can, then try to upgrade because that's where you benefit from all of this, you know, performance stuff. So the latest is, so the production one is .NET 9, obviously, from last November, but .NET 10, that is at RC2, I believe. So let's do .NET 10, RC2. This is as of last month. And in about, 2 weeks, you're going to have the GA ones. This one actually also does have a production license. So if you wanted to build apps with it, support isn't quite caught up yet, but it's there. So again, this is the latest .NET. And let me start with just the very basics here. I'm an old man. I have like bifocals, so I have a hard time reading sometimes. Like I went into the doctor's office with a very fancy jacket, and he's like, "You need bifocals." I'm like, way to bring me down. All right. So first thing is, if you install .NET on your machine, then everything is in a folder. It's not an old school .NET anymore where your IT has to invest 2 months trying to upgrade to .NET. Everything is in a folder. If I ask which version of .NET I'm using, it says, hey, you're on RC. Oh, actually, I'm on RC1. I didn't somehow, I had RC2 and I blew it away at some point. So .NET is just a folder. You can bundle .NET with your apps. You can blow away .NET any number of times you want. It's very flexible. Here is a trick, though, that I always like to show. So if I go into downloads here, you'll notice that in downloads, I have this file called the global.json. See that? That is a quick and easy way of pinning down a .NET version. So you can have multiple .NETs in multiple folders. So if I ask the same question, is this big enough? I can bump it up a little bit more. If I ask the same question in downloads, I'm getting some errors here, but you can kind of see like it's pointing me to 8, which is saying like, hey, you actually don't have .NET 8. But you can actually also show me the versions of the SDKs that I have. So this one's going to say, hey, I have 9 and 10 and 10 RC. So again, it's very flexible. So choose the .NET that's right for you, and then on top of .NET, you have to get the SDKs so you can build your apps. So let's look at so let's do .NET new list, I think. No. Oh, I'm in the wrong folder, which is why it's getting confused in downloads. Let me come back out. Okay, so now let's do .NET new list. No, where am I? I'm still, yeah. Okay. Okay, so these are all the .NET app templates that I have installed, and this is the same as what will show up in Visual Studio when you do file new project. So your Maui apps, your Blazor apps, your Android apps, your iOS apps, all of them show up as just templates, and down here you can do Mac Catalyst apps as well. There is actually a fine line difference between Mac Catalyst and Mac Desktop, which we'll talk about. That makes things a little bit fun. There are some UNO templates here as well. So again, don't start from scratch. There are templates that help you out. There are Visual Studio extensions for Windows. There are VS Code extensions for VS Code. So start from a good starting point. So let's actually go do this in the docs really quick. So what we are trying to say is you have a choice of OS and you have a choice of IDE. Once you get going, once you get startup, you can do things like UNO check and you can get the templates. So what does that look like? So let me show you in the docs here. Let's do UNO check. And this is what comes up. So this is using UNO check. Let's go to Mac. And so you just essentially need to, I'm going to try to bump things up as much as I can because it's a small screen. So it's a .NET tool. So you install that once and then you can keep updating it. And then I can run this tool anytime I want. I will tell you that I have some unnecessary bits that are mismatching. So it's going to complain a little bit about some red things, which is fine. But ideally, all of this is what it's doing. It's like cross-platform .NET dev is never simple, because you have to depend on iOS and Android and Windows and Mac and all those things. So you need to make sure you have all of those SDKs. And this is a tool where it's giving me some red, which is fine. I know exactly what it's complaining about. But ideally, all of it should be green. And it's not a one-time thing. You can keep running it. Let's say Android pushes out an update. You can run this tool. It's going to grab the Android SDKs for you. And ultimately, you want everything to be green, which means you have the UNO SDKs and you have the iOS, Android, Windows. Everything is in sync. So once you have it, you know that you have the bits to get started. Okay?
This has been phenomenal on like 2 different Linux distributions. It's like, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah. So how do you get started? Let me show you the very basic way, and then we can stretch this to any IDE. So if I do a new .platform.uno, this is the URL. Like this is for web stuff, but the same thing is actually built into Visual Studio and VS Code as well. So now you're starting up a new project, and you're going to see a bunch of things that we ask. Again, you don't have to use any of it, but in case you do, it's all there, and you can also add things back in after a while. But just to kind of show you a list of things that we think about that a modern .NET app should have. So you get a couple of presets. The blank is literally a blank screen, or you can do recommended, where we throw in a few things that we kind of know that you will need. So you can do .NET 9, which is production, or you can stay on the bleeding edge to .NET 10. Platforms. What platforms do you want to help support or target? These are called TFMs, Target Framework Monikers. So it's a true single multi-platform project where you get to declare which platforms it runs on. So iOS, Android, look at that WebAssembly. So now you can take your .NET apps to the web. Blazor is one way of doing it, but Blazor has some limitations on mobile and desktop. But this is all one platform, desktop, WinApp SDK. Presentation frameworks. As you are building up your UI, for simple screens, you don't need anything, right? But if you have hundreds of screens and lots of business logic, then you want some testability and separation of concern. These are some established ways of doing that. For C# and XAML apps, MVVM, Model View View Model, works really well. I am old, so I'm squarely in that camp. But if you do React or if you do Blazor or Flutter, you might be more in the MVU camp, which is a model view update. It's a shorter loop. You maintain the state of the app, and you only render in the diff tree, in the visual tree, only the things that have changed in the UI. So you get your choice of which one you want to do. Markup, again, for Matt and me, we love XAML. But if XAML's not your thing, you can do C#. Go do Fluent. It's going to be a little bit longer and more verbose, but you get great IntelliSense from any IDE, so do that. Theming, you can do Material. For some reason, Cupertino isn't here, but it's supported. You can do theme service with light and dark mode switching. You get some extensions. So if you want to do dependency injection and confuse everybody, including yourself, no. It's great. It's great once you know how to leverage it. And then you have a lot of things about configuration and localization and things like that. Logging as well. Features. So do you want your thing to be using Maui UI? Then we can bring that in. Do you want a PWA out of the box? We can do that. This is your choice of renderer, Skia versus native. So we think about all of those things. Authentication, which is the bane of our existence. So choose, Open ID Connect or MSAL or roll your own custom user ID and password. Hopefully you're encrypting it as you store it. So a lot of things are built in. If you want to unit test or just unit test in production, you can do that. CI/CD pipeline, Azure DevOps, GitHub. So we think about all of this, right? At the end of you selecting all of this, something went really quiet, so it's nice. Maybe the fans. So at the end of it, what you're going to get is one big .NET thing with a lot of like dashes based on the things that you chose, and you just run it from command line on every platform, and it'll just generate an app for you, right? So this is just a template wizard. Was it a question? Yeah.
So if you're just doing this like straight in your CLIs or general like just dash help commands to also.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
You can do dash help, and all of this
Okay.
is going to show up as the configuration options. Yep. But this is just a visual way of showing you
Yeah,
the things.
sure.
And again, like Visual Studio, VS Code, they all have the templates built in. So let's actually start. I'm going to be in VS Code for most of the time. We'll look at Visual Studio maybe towards the end. So this is Visual VS Code. Let me start with just the basics here. Let's do a counter MVVM. And we have a lot of examples, like hundreds of examples actually. So let's go into samples. So these are some of the popular ones, like counter is the one that I'm showing you. Don't trust anything that I'm saying today, right? Please go take a look yourself. Play with the bits. That's how you'll get the dev experience, like what it's really like. If you look at the samples here, almost everything that you can think of, auth-wise, using APIs, integration things with other things, it's all there. So there's plenty of inspiration. So this is just kind of the hello world basics of it. So let's change up a few things. Notice how I get a choice of where my app deploys. So I can, let's just do desktop. Desktop means a few different things. Desktop for Windows means a straight up Windows, app. Desktop on Mac has two different meanings. It can be a straight up Mac desktop application as God intended or as Apple intended you to do, or you can come to it through Mac Catalyst, which is the MAUI way of bringing it. MAUI way is essentially a giant iOS app. So they want your iOS apps to run on the Mac. That's the Mac Catalyst way, while you can just do native Mac as well. So this is what you get from a default Hello World app, well, with a few more things added. So you get your CS proj. You do actually get a global.json, which pins in some of this SDK stuff. Now, what that does is it gives you a whole bunch of things for free. Just to simplify things, here's the CS proj, and this is the target framework list. So notice how it's .NET iOS, .NET Android, right? So it's reading the frameworks where it runs. Now, this is a little section that we have tried simplifying to plain English, because all of this configuration gets very confusing with lots of dependencies. So now it's just one word. So all of those things that you chose from the template, I want MAUI, I want Skia, I want testing, I want logging. All of those are just words. So you mention them here, there's a long list, and you get to add or take away things as you want. It's just one configuration. We do the hard work of bringing in some of the bits and pieces, right? So this is it, and then you have some common things like assets. So your icons, your splash screens, all of those are shared. Fonts are great to share between platforms. You have the bin and obj, which is again the bane of our existence at times, but super helpful at times. Sometimes .NET caches a little bit too aggressively, so you almost make a habit of clearing it out if you're running into issues, or if you're making big changes. Platforms is your folder for, it's not a separate project, it's all a single solution file. But if you want to do specific things in iOS or Android or desktop or WebAssembly, you do that there. In particular for mobile, you do need, for iOS, for example, you need your permissions, your info plist, your entitlements plist, all of that lives there. But ideally, you want to stay out of it as much as possible. Like Android needs its like manifest files. So your permissions will have to be there. And you can do a build just for iOS or just for Android, but ideally you want to do everything cross-platform, because that's where the benefit is, right? So let's look at this. Everything starts out with AppXAML, which is kind of the default place where XAML starts up. You can have your styles. AppXAML.cs brings in a whole bunch of configuration as well. Again, you don't need to touch much of this at all. Mainpage.xaml is where things start out. This is the first UI of your app that you're building up. Yes, this is XAML, and again, no, you don't have to hand write it. The tools will write it for you. So what this is doing is just a simple stack panel. It's got an image, text box, and text block, and a button. That's it. XAML CS doesn't really do anything at all. So let's go ahead and run this, and this is way too zoomed in, so I actually can't even see on the right-hand side. Desktop, so let's do desktop. Oh, no, hold on, this is VS Code trying to be too smart, because it remembers the last time I spun it up, so it's trying to give me WASM, which is fine, it shows up. So this is browser, right? So it ran on WASM, so this is on your browser. I wanted to do desktop first, so let me go back. This is where VS Code gets a little confused because it actually has a launch.json, so it remembers the last one that I did. So let's do desktop, right? And we'll do that again. Now it shows, hey, I'm running this on .NET 9 desktop. All right, so out comes the same app. Now it's on desktop, and I can run this on iOS and Android and all the things. So there are a couple of interesting things going on. This is super simple. It's just got an image, and it's got a counter here, just like every other platform. It's got a stepper, and then you can actually change up the counter here, and then it upgrades by that step, right? Simple hello world. But you see a couple of interesting things in there. You see that floating window up here? This is saying, hey, I got hot reload. I got you covered. This is not the XAML hot reload that comes built in. This is our hot reload, which works, right? We try a lot. Next to it is a new guy called hot design. You hit that, and now interesting things happen. So you'll notice that over here, my app is still running, right? So the app has never stopped running. We have essentially paused the app and said, you need to do some design. You're actually building the app, right? So we kind of paused it and gave you a design surface, right? So what it is this is the design surface for your app to actually do things. You can notice that as I hover, like I can select things. So what are some things that are going on? First up here is that same panel. Now it has a few more things. So the app is kind of in a suspended state. So when I hit interactive mode, now the two sides gonna go away, and I can still use my app. I can pinch and zoom. I can do all the things in my app as if I'm using the app as a user. And then I can come back into selection and design mode, and then I can select individual UI pieces. Other things are, cross-platform app dev. It's complicated by nature because you have to cater to lots of device form factors and their nuances. One thing that's really good for accessibility is light mode and dark mode support. Dark mode in particular. You obviously have multiple ways of testing, but we make it super easy. Just like one button click, and it shows you how it looks like, your app. And the whole thing changes to dark mode. And one more hit back, and you're back into light mode. Another thing which I struggle a lot, I have Android devices. I use my iPad as a sidecar. So it's like a device galore. But you have to choose devices as to where the apps go, and it's a pain to just deploy to 5 different things, right? So this is us trying to say, let's get you to your first tab. Of course, you want to deploy to the device, but if you just want to take a quick look, then this device form factor chooser does it for you. This is how the app looks like on mobile, right? So again, it's not, you can choose the width and the height to kind of fit your Android or iOS devices, but it gets you there. This is kind of how the app looks like on perhaps a slightly bigger Android or iPad or iOS tablet. This is what it looks like on the web. This is what it looks like on desktop. So you get some choices right away. So, without going anywhere else, you can see how your app looks like. If you want your UI to be pixel perfect, you can zoom in. Now I've zoomed in too much, but you can see like where it's really zooming in on a part of the screen. So I can, align the borders or margins, everything that I'm wanting to do, and I can do auto fit, and so it comes back in, right? So a couple of things up front makes life a little bit easier. But what is all of this other stuff? Well, first thing is, on here is your toolbox, kind of what Visual Studio used to give you, except now this is all runtime, right? And we'll, focus on that a little bit because it lights up interesting things. But this is all the UI that you ever want to put in your app, right? So all of your toolbox things are here. If you want layout things, if you want collection of things, it's all there. Plus, if you want anything custom that you have added as a reference to your project, like a Teneric or a DevExpress toolkit, they can all show up here, right? So all of it is there for you to simply drag and drop, right? It's all there. Any third-party thing is there as well. Down here is what's called the elements tree. Modern .NET always tries to render things in a visual tree, right? It's a big tree that you're building, and it's not absolute positioning, because unless you have a really good need, absolute positioning, gets you in trouble quickly because you want things to flow as the, device form factors change. So things are within containers, and that's how they flow. So this shows you like what the container structure is like, right? So you're never in doubt. So now I can select this image, and you can see like it shows, hey, this image is in the main page within a stack panel, right? So everything, just like you have dev tools in your browser, you can select individual elements. That's what we are doing for .NET. Yes, sir.
Question. Do you have support for applying accessibility information? So like that's an image. Is there somewhere to put in alt text? And is that going to bubble down into like the automation properties in a classic WPF app, or the HTML tags of a laser or something?
Yeah, thank you for the segue to show you the next thing. So once I do select, here's the thing that comes up. This is the property list, right, of all the properties that this particular UI element has. And you can add on, you can have extensions of your own properties with C# extensions, anything with accessibility. We try to be a little bit smart, so there's a tab called Smart, which shows you the most commonly used ones for an image. So this one should have alt text somewhere, and then the all actually is the one that shows you all the properties, which is a lot, right? Mm-hmm. If you know exactly what you're looking for, there is a search button here, so you can search for that quick thing. But all of the properties that you edit in C# or XAML, it's all surfaced up here, right? Okay. So that's the properties window. Now that does actually make things a little bit interesting. So notice how I have like 3 different things here, right? I can do multi-select. So I can choose this guy, and this guy, and this guy. No, where is my counter? There. I can hold down the command key, right? So now I have 3 things selected. So now the properties are the ones that are common between those 3 things, right? So it's just showing me some font sizes. Let's do margin here. Let's make it 30. So you can see like the spacing changes on the fly because it's changing it as we speak. Now, the app is still running. It never stopped running. So if I go back to my IDE, let's go back in here to main page.xaml. You see that margin being 30 for all 3 elements now. So it's a one-on-one sync between Hot Design and your IDE. Your app has never stopped running, but we are bringing code changes that you make in the design back into your IDE, right? So it's an iterative process, so you don't have to keep switching up, like making one line of change and then deploying your app. One line of change, something doesn't work, come back. So it's slow, right? So everyone is trying to make that dev loop quick. So makes sense. And again, I can bring it down to what it was, and then it's not 100. That makes it way too big. 10, right? So everything is in sync, and at any point I can hit this button here to go back to the running app, and now it's running again, right? And I can close this out when I'm done, and it's back to 10. Make sense? So this is just like a hello world experience of what Hot Design does for you. Any questions? Yes.
So as far as it goes with like when you're in the mobile section, so then does that work for like all mobile responsive like elements? Like if it's like like the pixel width is 2090 and then there's a pixel width of 420, like they will both work the exact same. Like if it no matter what the width is of the.
Yes. So what you're asking is, like in the Hot Design surface, you can choose the width and height if you know exactly what the device, form factor is, or the other way around is actually deploying to a simulator, right? So let me see if I have the launch settings for doing that here on this app. This one here, yeah, I have iOS debugging, and let's check CSproj to make sure I have that. CSproj, yeah, I have iOS. So let's actually change it up. This is too big. Hold on. Change that up to iOS. Make sure my debugging window is set to iOS as well. And let's fire it up. So this is where you are truly, building for iOS. And you can see .NET 9 iOS down here. Really small, but now instead of guessing the width and height, I'm actually building an iOS app package and I'm deploying to a simulator. And now you have a choice, VS Code or Visual Studio will tell you all the iPhone and Android or other simulators that you might have. And now it is actually deploying to a device with the actual width and height of what you want. Is that kind of what you're asking?
So basically, so if you made like a change, and like say for to make it for an iPhone 14, and then you go to like say like an iPhone 12, like whether you did with the iPhone 14, it would still look good on the iPhone 12 as well.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So essentially, the hot design surface gives you more of a just a width and height, not the exact dimensions of that iPhone 12 versus iPhone 14. This is where VS Code can come in, and let's go back in here, and let's stop this app in here somewhere. So there you go. So this is where you get to choose, like if you're actually okay deploying to a device, you can do any version of iOS and any version of iPhone, 12, 14, 13, and they will all have their own dimensions of what they're expecting, and then you can see how your app is looking on that exact device.
So basically, so you can click on the iPhone 16 and the iPad 13 and view them both at the same time and get to see like how they work in comparison.
Yeah. I mean, it'll have to be, you'll have to bring up both the simulators, and you can do multiple simulators side by side, but then you can see the app running on both, types of devices. Yeah.
Now, is this using Apple's simulator, or is this your own simulator?
These are all Apple simulators.
Oh, okay.
So so the classic question for any .NET cross-platform dev is, do you have to have an Apple device to build for iOS? Yes and no. At the end of the day, these are all native app packages, and Apple is a giant that nobody wants to poke. Your app package has to be built with Xcode that is licensed to the same developer who has the Apple Dev Store account. No one can get you around that, right? So you have to have an Apple in the mix. It doesn't need to be a physical Apple. A lot of people use a Mac in the cloud. You might have like a Mac Mini that you want to throw somewhere on your network, but Visual Studio needs to go to Xcode and do the build.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. How are we looking on time? Oh, we are going rather slow. How long do we go here? 7:30? Shall we do that?
Whatever you need. I mean, just not till midnight.
Oh, not till midnight. Okay, that's a good. Okay, so this is kind of the hello world thing, right? So let's make things a little bit more interesting. Let's look at a slightly bigger, better app here. Well, actually, let's start a little softer. Then I will show you a really big scale app. So this was me just trying to tinker around. For any of you who are trying to build new apps, this is one of my favorite playgrounds. I don't know if anyone uses it. Anyone know of JSON placeholder?
I've heard of that.
This is a wonderful thing. It's an API. It's just all sample data, lorem ipsum or whatever you want.
Yeah.
They have a lot of stuff, like anything RESTful that you want. Look at all of these resources. You can do a get, put, out, delete on all of those, and they refresh every like 5 minutes. So you can do whatever you want, and they don't care, right? So you can really test out your apps using this. So let's just say like posts is what I want. And once you go in there, this is just an HTTP get, and what you get is a list of posts as if like from a blog post or comments. And you get like 100 or so posts. They are in Latin. What if you wanted to just get this into an app? This is kind of hello world for mobile apps. You want a list of things, right? Most apps end up being a list of things. So this is an Uno app doing the same thing that we saw before. Here you will see that I have, is this legible? Any bigger, or you can all read? So I am just mimicking what the business object is. You will likely do this in a model. So I have my post, and this is the magic of modern C#. Yes, if you don't know all the nuances, it can get a little hard to read sometimes with all the characters and all the ways we do extensions, but this is just so beautiful. Like, remember the days of Newtonsoft and JSON manipulation all over the place? It's like one line of code nowadays. This is me just newing up an HTTP client and saying, I need you to go to this URL, and I need you to look at this resource, and once you are done, bring me back an observable collection of the type post. And it does it, no questions asked. Like, serialization, deserialization is so easy nowadays. So I bring that thing down, and in my main page, I have a stack panel, which, by the way, I did not write any of this code myself. I used Hot Design to actually do it for me, so I can, control exactly what XAML I'm generating. I have a text block here. I have a stack panel. And on mainpage.xaml, we go actually fetch the posts and we show this as a list of things, right? Very simple hello world type thing. So let's go run this again. Yep, desktop is good. Okay, out comes the desktop app here, and this is the list of posts that I got back from that URL. So same thing in here, I can hit hot design, and you can see the app now just goes into this design mode, and I can choose that list view, right? And I have all of these properties right down here, so I can edit my list view, I can give it a style. So anything that you define as a style shows up as a list, so it can, it's like immediate, setting it. Now this is one of the best parts where I change the template. You folks know about templates? Templates in XAML is what you control or what you define to control how each item looks like in your list of things, right? So this is not fake data anymore. My app is still running, right? So what I get is a view of each individual template and how it's rendering one item at a time. I get a pager down here so that I can scroll through, right? So look at the benefit of having real data, and the same things apply. I can click on anything in here, I can change up how that looks like, and when I come out of it, it's going to apply it to the whole template, the whole list view of things, right? Now all of this is hello world, so let me actually step out and show you a real app, because things work in hello world, things don't work very well once you have a real enterprise app. So we did the exercise actually. This is all open source code, so let me show you an app called Chefs. This is an app for recipes, because everyone loves food, or at least I love food, so it's the common denominator. When we break bread with people, we get along. You realize that we're not all that different. Everyone has the same needs. So this is a Chef's app, and let's do desktop. Let's make sure this is still desktop here, and let's go. So this is hundreds of views, thousands of lines of code, lots and lots of data. So kind of mimicking a real world enterprise app here. So this one is going to come up here as desktop, and I can skip a few things. It has an auth, I can skip past this. So this is the Chef's app and how it looks like. So I can go into hot design here, and now you can see like things are the same, but they're also different because it has a lot of complexity. So this is the visual tree. You'll notice like how deeper is that nesting going, because it's got a lot of things in the UI, right? So it's a real app, but everything works the same way as you expect. So here I can go into actual, what's it called, like the interactive mode, and I can jump in, I can change things. So I can tap on one, and now I'm using the app as it's using. Now, a lot of the times when you have a big code base, it's hard for a new guy to come up and start being productive. The customer says, change this one thing. And you as the experienced developer might know what that is, somebody else might not. So you can actually do this all visually. So here it's showing me my ingredients, my steps, and it has a nutrition tab, which is showing me the things that, who doesn't love avocado toast? So it's showing me a chart here. So when I click on that, let's go into selection mode. When I click on that, it's going to show me how exactly that chart fit. So let's go back out here. You can see that I'm on a chart view that is inside of a grid, inside of an auto layout, inside of a lot of different things, eventually a scroll viewer, eventually a tab view. So it's got a lot of things going for it. But I don't need to care. I can just drill into the UI that I want. This is a nice thing to show off because each one of those bar charts and the pie diagram that you see, they're using a brush. So I can change up the brush right here. Let's make it aqua. So you can see the color changes right away, right? So it's just on the fly prototyping with your customer. And let's go back to the IDE. Everything is in sync or should be in sync. So let's go to recipe details. I know that's where it belongs. And here's my protein brush that went from theme resource to aqua because that's what we selected, right? So again, everything is in sync. So notice how if I come back here, let's go into selection mode and come back here. Notice how it says trending now here, or any of these tabs. I can change up anything I want. So it's bi-directional. So let's go back to home page here. There is trending now. I can turn it off, save it here, go back to the running app, and it's gone, right? So really two-way. right? So C# or XAML, change up whatever it is that you want. There are some boundaries, like if you take away the view model, then it just doesn't know what to do with it until you give it back, you hydrate it back. But otherwise, it all is two directional in sync, right? So this is the developer productivity that we are trying to shoot for, where everything is design time, at the same time runtime. You're dealing with real data. So here's one of the nice things when it's real. So I can click on that. Notice how now I did not actually go away because I'm in selection mode, and that is a big feed view that's pulling it up data. I can right click and I can say, show me how you're actually rendering that, that feed. So now you're actually one step down, down into a child element. I can tap on this and that's going to bring me the template of what individual items look like. So now we are 2 levels down. Inside of a feed view, inside of a list view, then we have a template. And this is still real data, right? So I can, click through. Right, so you get the point of how it's not fake, your app is still running, and I can click anything in here. I can change up all the properties here, and it's going to show back up in the app when I come out of it. Make sense? So this is hot design. This is us trying to give you some design chops, so you can actually come out of here, and you can. This is the one thing I didn't show you. You can choose anything here, and you can drop new items right here in the canvas itself. Or you can actually drop it in the elements tree if you know exactly where it's going. Then you can just do that, and you can drag and drop and bring things down just like that. Or you can just edit things as you go. Now, so you have 2 things on the left and the right, and the middle section is called the canvas. So to your point, like when I run this app, let's actually do that if I have time. Let's make this a little smaller. Let's change this up to iOS. And run this. It should be doing this on an iPhone 16. Let's give it a little time. So when you do deploy to an actual device, then we realize that you're not doing the hot design stuff on a desktop or a web. You're actually doing it on a device simulator, which is a different VM. So we take away the canvas from the from the middle. And we give you the same app that's running, but now you can actually do it using the very canvas of the thing that you're on. So notice that now I'm in a simulator. I still have my hot design and hot reload connected. When I tap on that, you get a separate hot design window. So this one does not have the canvas in the middle because now this running app in the simulator is your canvas, right? So you can still take UI elements from that toolbox and drop them directly into your simulator. It still catches up, right? So we are trying really hard to make sure everything stays in sync. Yeah. All right, let's move on. Another 20 minutes. We'll try to wrap it up. Let's do some more edge cases. I know, like you were asking about UI. You have complete liberty to bring in whatever UI that you want. So let's take a look at that really quick. We call that Maui embedding. Again, we love Maui as well. It's we help maintain it. What you see here in this project is the solution actually has 2 different things. This is the Uno app, and then this is a separate project which has all of the things that is not Uno, and everything is welcome too. So this one here has its own CS proj. Notice how it's using all the Maui stuff. Let's try to bump it up here. It's using actually Telerik UI. We can render everything. So what this one does here, if you look at main page, it's just rendering a stack panel, and then it's giving you a little Maui grid, and that Maui thing comes from, well, this is VS Code complaining about things here. We'll ignore that. But this is where it's getting the Maui stuff from this namespace. So when I go ahead and run this, it's too big. Hold on. Let's choose iOS again. 16 Pro Max, that's fine. You see how quick the builds are? That's because it's an M2 Max, or like actually an M4 Max. It's got a lot of processing power. It runs big displays very, very quickly.
Didn't notice that.
Yeah, the GPUs really help, especially when you're doing AI. Yeah. All right, so it should come up here. That's still an Uno app, but what you see here is this is our label, an Uno label. This is a text block in the Maui world. So we are literally mixing and matching things. That barcode is a generic barcode. So bring in a SyncFusion or a DevExpress, it all works, right? So any type of UI, WinUI, Maui UI, Windows Community Toolkit, any type of UI that's .NET, we can render. So it's a way of just trying to mix and match things, give you more options. Make sense?
Oh,
Yeah, and we can talk more after that as well. Let's do any other questions? Any other thoughts, concerns so far? Yeah. What about the web? Some of you do the web stuff, right? Is web welcome? Well, you can take any app and just run it on the web, as we saw. Like that's WebAssembly. But that comes with a few nuances. That is truly a .NET app, and you're shipping DLLs into the browser. Everything is in a sandbox. There are no security concerns anymore. But it's all WebAssembly. What if you are already building a web app, and now you want to mix and match? Because you built a web app, and your customer is happy. The next day, someone says, "I want this on my iPad. I want this on my Android." What do? You don't want to redo the whole thing. You want to mix and match. You want the same UI sometimes, but different experiences. And you want to tap into native UI where you need to. You want to tap into camera, accelerometer, GPS, all those things. So I don't have all the demos, but I can show you some of the basics of what it is. So let's go back in here. Anyone do JavaScript? You said Angular, React, Vue, Svelte. Anyone? Okay. I'll do. let's do Angular. Let's do Angular here. So, excuse me, before I show you the Uno app, this is the native app. This is what it's doing behind the scenes. So let's go in here. This is my Angular app, right? So this is ng, new app, spins up a new app, and then you can do ng serve to serve it up on your browser. Then you can do an ng build with the production configuration. This is where you're asking to make your Angular app a static app, right? So you're done with the interactivity. You know exactly all the JavaScript, all the CSS, all the HTML that you need. Now you just want it to be flattened out so you can deploy this, bless you, on AWS or Azure, wherever it is that you want to go. That's where Angular will build you this little folder in your distribution thing, which says, here's all the files that I need, my index, my main, my polyfill, all the things. And I can take all of that and I can drop it into a native app, just like that. So this is an Uno app, and what you'll see here is, excuse me, I'm doing this for iOS because iOS has a nice thing with anything in the resources folder, it's automatically included as a bundle resource, because these are now static files. So you're just bundling them up as resources. That's what we are doing. And actually, hold on one second. Before I do that, let me show you just the basics, and then we'll come to Angular. Because without the basics, you might not know how we are doing this. So let's do Uno Web here, just to showcase. This is the one piece of UI that we are using now. Mainpage.xaml has this thing called WebView 2. Look familiar? This is the Windows way of doing Edge, Chakra. This is the web view without any of the Chrome. The exact same thing that Chromium or Edge uses, same exact thing, just dropped in your app. So if you just wanted to render some HTML, you can do that anytime. This one here, if I do mainpage.xaml, you can see that on navigated to when the page loads up. I'm just going to point it to a URL and, dirty hack, but be done with it really quick. So let's do desktop and do a run. Okay, so this is a desktop app, but it's really a web app because it's just pointing to a URL. And it knows that it has to be a little bit responsive. So it's just rendering the whole URL inside of a web view, inside of an app, right? So not super helpful, but you can actually do more things. So let me actually comment this thing out. And I wanted to show you some of the interactive parts of it. Let's uncomment all of this stuff. And let's see, what else did I have to change? Oh, I had this separated out because I wanted like a stack panel. So I had a different one. Same web view. So web view 2, and I have a text block here. They both have names. So here's what I'm doing. I am now rendering some straight up HTML inside of my web view. So now I am bringing in web content inside. So I'm just saying, I want you to render this div tag, which will have this name, and it will have a background color of blue. And I will have a h1 inside of it which was just called my h1. Now I want you to run some JavaScript because web content comes with JavaScript. So I'm doing plain jQuery, document, get it, change that background color to red. So that div tag should be red. And I want to run a 1+1 JavaScript, and I want to show that response. And I also want to invoke a JavaScript function here that's defined. And all it's doing is just rendering a string. And I want to invoke that JavaScript function to say, hello world. And when JavaScript fires it off, I want to come back to C#. I want to receive that message and show you that in a text block, which is a .NET, it's a native UI, right? So with all of that, let's go ahead and run this. And this, involves a lot more things where things can get a lot more smoother, but this is just the basics of it. So this white thing is now a web view, right? Inside of that is the div tag, which I translated the color. That's JavaScript saying it's 2. And this is JavaScript calling C#, right? So C# and JavaScript don't like talking to each other all the time. There's a wall in between. Sometimes you have to package up your objects, throw it over, and hopefully they catch it on the other side. But so debugging story can improve, but the basics are there. You can call one from another. So with that out of the way, now let's go back to the Angular project. And let's do this. So here's what I'm doing. This is an Uno project, but inside of iOS, I have my resources, and these might look familiar. That's the index and the polyfill and other things that I've dropped in. So what I'm doing here is in main page is just a web view because I want some web UI. What I'm doing here in main page.xaml is now I'm pointing it to a folder to say, hey, you need to look at my web content folder. That's where my web assets are, and I want you to go and render that index.html. That's it. So I'm just pointing it to the starting point of my app, beyond which Blazor or Angular or React, they will take over their own routing, their own navigation, their own pages, and all of the data that comes with it. I'm just pointing it to the starting point, right? And this is the index.html that Angular gives you, including some of the script references. This is the div tag inside of which Angular renders its entire app, right? Angular 18, 17, 16, this hasn't really changed. So that's it. Now let's go back here, run this on iOS. You can see that I have a strong preference for iOS. Android is great. It's easy to get started. It's super easy to deploy because like one USB plug and dev mode and you're off and running. But Android also makes your life very difficult when you're pushing a production app because there are just so many devices, so many styles, and Samsung does its own thing, and Pixel does its own thing. Yep. So maintaining Android apps is not fun, but it's super easy to get started. So this is an Angular CLI app just running inside of an iPad because why not, right? So again, like I don't have it entirely wired up, but you can kind of see like TypeScript within Angular is reading the window, the browser window here from the web view and saying, that's my height and width. And then you can actually check your device orientation, your camera, all of those things from TypeScript calling into C# and going deep into the APIs to get .NET stuff back out. So really mixing and matching things. Make sense a little bit? Mm-hmm. Let's do, since we did Angular, it's unfair to not do the other one. Let's see. Let's see, React. So before I show you this, this is the app again. So here I have a React app with Next.js. Anyone do that? Anyone do React in the house? Yeah. I love this because like React is a whole ecosystem. Like Angular is very opinionated. It's for enterprises because you have a good starting point. It gives you a bunch of things to get started. React is like, go build your own thing. We're out of the way, which is great. But as long as you know what you're doing, apparently there are like 5 ways to start up a React app. You can choose Next. You can choose, what are the other ways? Like there is Vercel, there is NPX, Create React App. There are like 4 or 5 different frameworks because React is just a UI platform. Essentially, it's agnostic, and then you get the frameworks to do some of the handling for you. So I have this app, and let's go run this actually. Let's see, where are we? No. If I go into React Next.js, now I can do an npm NPM is bringing down half the internet on my hard drive, because why not? So now it comes in with TurboPack and it says, I got your React app. It's running here in localhost 3000. Let's see up here. So there's my React app running on localhost 3000, right? And that's just a Next app. And again, Next is just one of the ways in which you can start up a React app. Same thing here. I can do a React build where I do a Next build and I say, make me static apps. And that's what I have done here. So back to the Uno app here, I have my React things dumped in here. So there is my next chain set of things, including SVGs, and there is my index HTML. So this is not human readable because it's flat and it's just a big index HTML. The JavaScript is like 4 pages long, but again, I don't care. I don't need to read all of that stuff. I just need to point to index HTML and hopefully it will do what it's supposed to do. Same thing here. I'm just going to render that index HTML, right? So let's go to iOS here and let's do run. What did I choose? It's too big, so I can't see where I'm rendering. I chose
iOS.
Yeah, but iPad 16. Oh, it's a cold start. Still comes up fairly quickly. See, the M4 chip really flies. Yeah. Turns out if you pay them good money, they give you good hardware. Yeah, I mean, Windows laptops are not cheap either these days, right? A really good Windows laptop is about the same price as a MacBook Pro. So here's the same React app just inside of a iOS or Android simulator. So hopefully you get the idea. Maui does a similar thing. They have a web view called the Blazor web view. It has nothing to do with Blazor actually. It will also happily render all types of web UI. On the Windows and Uno side of things, you got the web view 2, which will do the same exact things, right? Make sense? Now, some of you said you do maintain older apps, right? So how much time do you have? Oh, I'm at 7:19. How about 2 more minutes? We can do 2 more minutes. All right.
Okay.
All right. How about you might see the lights flicker here. I'm going to go into, or maybe not over this Wi-Fi. Oh, no. It is thinking, which is never a good news. It should be really quick because I'm trying to connect over a tunnel so I can get to my Windows box, but it doesn't look like it's going to let me do the thing. But what I was trying to show you is, let's not go there. What I was trying to show you is this web view. Where is that at? This web view, if you have a WinForms app or a WPF app, you can still use that same web view. And yeah, I get it. You're not going to connect. I get it. So you can render that web view too and render Angular, Blazor, React inside of your WinForms app. People are going to freak out, but you can. Right, so it's a way of bringing modern islands of modernness into an older legacy app. Legacy is not a good word because it's running your business, so nothing wrong with that. WPF apps can be very modern. It can be touch for kiosks and so on, but it shares a lot of this. Like if you have a very big WPF app, you can actually bring Uno UI into it in small bite-sized pieces, one at a time. Like one screen at a time, you can start converting it. So now it runs everywhere. So there's a lot of help. So I'm going to show one last thing and then I will stop, I promise. And that is, oh no, did I stop sharing? No, we're good. I think I closed that window.
Yeah.
I closed that window.
Oh no.
All right, what was the URL again? Village Central join browser. Yeah, I'm trying to room code 3724. Thank you. And share. There you go. I'm back up. All right. So the thing that I wanted to show you that's really nice is, let's go from here. Let's go to Studio here. And you can see like we have those 3 pillars. We got Hot Design and Hot Reload working together. Design to code. Again, I'm not going to go too much into it because I'm not a designer. I don't understand what I'm doing, but designers live in Canva. Designers live in Figma. Almost everybody likes to build up things in Figma, which it's a little bit intimidating for me. It's just got so many buttons and so many things that I get confused. But again, designers know exactly what they're doing with it. So let's see, where was the material toolkit? That makes it really nice. So let's go try out the material toolkit here. So what you get is if I open up this file, This is something your designers will know how to do. Okay. I'm apparently not signed in here. Open. So designers are used to dealing with these files, right? So each of them is like a startup file with material design in it. So like a login screen or a list of things and other types of screens. So they will have their choice of colors and swatches and brushes, all those things. But you don't need to care all about it because you can just get the assets from them. And let's just choose this one here. And it's really small. And let's choose the plugin. There's that plugin. And let's find this one here. So this is a Figma to C# and XAML generator. So we take all of that fancy UI and we generate content for it. So let's do run. And this is Figma actually going to tell you that, yeah, you need to be a pro account to do this, but that's fine. We can do it once. Click to refresh. There you go. So out comes your same app now with some sample data, right? So here's the data. So I got some sample items here, some pictures of stuff, and then this is the design that my designers gave me. And so I can still scroll and zoom around. It doesn't do anything. It's not meant to be interactive, but I can still see the design. And then I can actually generate code. Sure, I got it. And then out comes a little bit of XAML or C#, exactly down to a pixel perfect rendering of what that design was, right? So if you have designers in the house and they give you all the design samples, including colors and layouts and exactly this is going to take you a long time to write by hand, because this is where the magic is, like the layouts and the templates and the containers and the parents, all of that is generated for you. Simply copy, plug it into your IDE, put it up in hot design, then you can iterate on it as you go. So just a little bit of design help to get you going, right? I have spoken for entirely too long. I am going to stop here, right? So hopefully what you see is we have a lot of ammunition as .NET developers to go build amazing things. We have great tools. So choose the stack that works for you. Again, don't trust a thing that I said today, okay? Please go and try it yourself. Try everything. Try Maui, try Avalonia, try Uno platform. Choose the one that works the best for you. We hope that the support and the engineering that we are putting in is going to speak for itself. And to Matt's point, let's try to get you a little bit more productive. I'm going to hook up some licenses to CONDG. So for the next 6 months, let's say, every month you can do a raffle, right? Sweet. So starting with this month, how do you do a raffle? Sorry.
Usually we will have folks who are interested raise their hands, then we'll get out old random number generator. Random.org.
So all I need is an email address, so then I can email you a license code so you can go and activate.
So if you are interested in winning a license to Uno Studio, and what's the distinction between Uno Studio and regular Uno?
Uno platform is the regular Uno, which is the foundational open source thing. The hot design and the hot reload are part of that studio.
Yeah. So that's the only part of this that's kind of paid.
The sugary productivity part.
Yep. So who is interested in winning this this month? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 names. So I'm going to do 1 to 5. Hopefully you remember which one of the 5 you were.
Wait.
So hands up.
Yeah, you got to assign the numbers.
So what's your number?
1, 2, 3, 4.
All right. And it generated 4.
Yay. All right, so if you can get me your email, I'll email you back once I get home. Yeah. All right, so thank you. Thank you for spending an hour with me. Thank you, Central Insurance, for hosting us. Thank you for Matt and Sam, the other Sam, the bigger, better, wiser Sam, for joining us here, and Alan. If you need to get hold of me, that's me, but thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you all. Thank you.